What it do, boys? It's your boy Marco back with another banger. So this video I want to kind of give you a complete tutorial on Facebook ads and how to run them in 2025. This is something that was kind of requested quite a lot. I had a few people asking to make a tutorial, so here we go. And this is the exact systems, structures, whatever you want to call it, that I use in my own marketing agency. So I'm going to expose the entire process. Also, just so you know, getting clients, to run ads for, do all this stuff is one thing. If you can't fulfill them, it's going to be kind of difficult to keep them. They're going to churn, you're going to have to give refunds and all that stuff. So it's super important that you nail this part of your agency. So let me just dive right into it and I'll show you kind of how to do it. All right, boys, so we're in the Facebook Ads Manager. If you're seeing this for the first time, what this looks like, it might look a little bit confusing, but trust me, it's super easy to understand. It's not really that complicated whatsoever. And I just want to show you guys that what I'm kind of teaching is what I'm practicing, that actually works. So for example, this is one of my clients that has been with us for a few months now. This is kind of one of our older clients. And if I just kind of go into the campaign here, you can see we spent in the past 30 days on this, campaign, almost 2.4K. We got, almost 86,000 impressions and CPMs at $27, which is pretty cheap. And we got him around 280 leads at like $8 each per lead, which is pretty cheap, and he made a lot of money from this. I just want to show you kind of what the kind of ad stack looks like if I kind of go into the actual campaign here. So the main ad we're running right now is actually a video. So you can see I tried a lot in this campaign. If I even go into here and I just go for all ad sets, you can see I tried a lot for this client, and the video just works the best. This is printing us a lot of leads here. So if I put this to maximum, for example, I haven't even looked at this. Let's see all time. So all time he has spent 18,000 on ads. He's gotten 1,600 leads. That is pretty insane. At like $11 each on average, throughout all this time. So if I go into here, you'll see that I showed a lot. This is the best one by far. This single ad has generated us 1,200 leads. Okay, this is just pretty insane. You can see there's a bunch of ads here, but none of them actually are doing that well compared to this one here. So there's obviously these ads that get me $13 per lead, $22, $70, but this one is just crushing it. So I'll teach you exactly how to make ads that do the exact same thing. Let's go into a fresh ad account and I'll kind of build out a campaign in front of your eyes. Okay, so we're in a fresh ad account now. Just ignore these campaigns. I was just playing around with some paid ads here, but let's just make a new one. So what you do kind of to make a campaign here is you click create. And by the way, before you do this, you have to obviously get access to your client's business manager, their ad accounts, their Facebook pages and all that stuff. So you should have done that on the onboarding call with your client after you sign them on. You make a new campaign and you select leads here. If you obviously do lead generation, campaign name doesn't really matter, just name it whatever. I'll just name it, here, what's my company's name? Whatever. You can set your ad budget at the campaign level or the ad set level. Now really depends on how many ad sets you want to be doing. I usually go for one ad set, so I don't really need this. I just say ad set budget. You don't have to do anything else here. Then you just click on next. And here, what I usually do is for lead generation, I always go for website, okay? The reason being why I don't do instant forms is because they usually, in my experience, just get you a good amount of leads, but just low quality leads. So I split tested both, I'm telling you, for, areas with a good amount of population where there's over 100,000 people, in the audience, always go for website. If you have an area where there's for example, 10,000 people, then obviously go for instant forms because you want to make it low commitment, low effort to, have people give us their information. Big areas you don't really need to. So I usually go for websites. I barely have any clients where I really do, instant forms, barely any because it's just not needed. But side note, right? Performance goal, maximize number of conversions. This is what I always have. Pixel. Now I don't have a pixel on this ad account, but you should have just selected pixel here. And as the conversion event, you want to select lead, right? Don't do schedule, don't do appointment, choose lead. Okay, super important. It's going to show up here. Obviously, I don't have it like I was saying because I don't have a pixel here. As the budget, I just usually start off with $50 a day. This is my starting budget. Again, I have clients, as I showed you before, who spend 2.5K per month. Clients who spend 10K a month on that. But for the start, I usually go for $50 per day because it gives me like a good amount of data to see if the ads work or not. Start date, if you're starting the ads in the evening, for example, just schedule them for the next day, because if you start them, for example, at 12 noon, like it is about to be here in my in my time, you will only have 12 hours of the day. So if your budget is $50 per day, it will spend that $50 kind of wastefully, if that makes sense. So just make sure you get all your money's worth. Just schedule them for the next day if it is already late in the day, right? So in this case, I'm just gonna select June 3rd, and here I'm just gonna say 8 a.m. Eastern. there we go. Here, let's see what this is. You don't really have to play with this at all. Just leave this. The main thing is like, so the way I kind of like just genuinely play with the Facebook Ads Manager is I keep it super simple. I don't try to be fancy. I don't try to use every single option that there is. I just keep it to what works. Simplicity scales, complexity doesn't, right? For example, here you'll see a lot of people who kind of like just add an area in and then exclude a bunch of things. You know, it's just like you can do that, but you don't really need to because it's still gonna work without. So for example, let's say your service area is, I don't know. So let's say for example here your service area is, I don't know, let's say Miami-Dade, whatever, this county here. Let's say that's your service area, okay? Good amount here. So you can see there's over 1 million people in the service area, which means that's a good amount, you know, to target for. Now here you want to limit this further because the thing is, obviously you're targeting now everybody who lives in this area. So you're targeting 18-year-olds, 65-year-olds. You're targeting people who are, you know, everybody pretty much, right? So you want to size it down even further. So usually what I do is here I switch to this year's limit, further limit the reach of your ads, and I say switch setup. That's going to give us the OG setup because what Facebook actually did is they changed it up for some reason. So this is good. This is the OG setup now, right? And we can actually choose the ages we want to target for. If you do anything that's home improvement related, which is, you know, a big niche in SMMA, I would go for, you know, 35 and up and untick this. This is not a suggestion. We only want to be targeting people who are 35 and up because you barely have any homeowners who are going to be 18 years old, for example, or below the age of 35. So just go for that. Genders, I just leave everybody. Custom audiences, I don't really play with that. Detailed targeting. If you're doing local business ads, don't do anything with detailed targeting or, for example, interest targeting, okay? Because the thing is, you're already limited by the location. You're already limited by the age. So you don't want to even limit it even further by the interest. Because the thing is, if you're selling a service-based product, like for example, painting services or roofing services, how are you going to target people who are interested in roofing? Nobody cares about roofing. It's just about they need it or they don't, you know? So you can't really target people for that. So just leave the interest blank and don't do anything here. Placements, I sometimes play with that, sometimes I don't. What I usually do is I turn off first of all thread. I turn off audience network and messenger. Placements, I just pretty much, first of all, I turn everything off and then I just say Facebook and Instagram feed. It's the only two I keep on. Stories and reels, I just leave them all on and I just turn these two off, okay? So you pretty much only want to have 7 placements, these 2 and these 5 here. That's it. And that's it. Then you just go next and then you actually can build all your ads. Now, this is like the juicy part here. So now we get to the actual ad part. This is like the fun stuff. So let me show you how I build out my own ads that get results like this. The main thing you have to understand with running ads for really any type of business, especially if it's service-based, is you have to build a lot of trust through your ads, right? Now, how do you do that? So the way I do it is I try to communicate 2 main things in my ads. I try to communicate that my client does great work, that they're, good at what they do, and that they do it at a fair price, okay? Because that's ultimately what everybody cares about. They don't care about, we have this cool way of installing, our product. Nobody cares about that. They just care about these 2 things. Because the last thing they want to have happen is the thing that they're buying breaking in a year, for example, or the paint peeling off, or the roof leaking in a year. And they obviously they don't want to overpay. So you want to kind of position yourself as the middle. Now, the way you do this is the following. Ideally, you want to have your clients send you some content so you can just, custom brand it to their company. If they don't have any content, you can just, use content that's online. But ideally, if you want to have some, you want to be using it, right? So for example, if you set up the creative, just scroll down a bit, we set up the creative, come right here. I'm just going to do an image ad here in this case and go here to media. And I'm just going to upload, for example, this image right here, which is one of my clients actually. Let's just choose this one here. I'm just going to click next, skip and continue and done. So this is the images now here. Now, as far as the text goes, you want to kind of also do it the following too. Because the thing is, like I was saying, we want to be building trust. This is a pretty good picture. This is pretty, transparent in my opinion. And the last thing you want to have too is super over edited ads with fancy graphics, fancy fonts, just a lot of stuff going on. I try to keep it extremely simple and I try to make my copy speak for itself. I don't want to have the image or the photo, do the talking, because that's just to capture attention. I want to have my copy do the talking because that's where the text is supposed to be. I want to have it do the talking. And as far as the primary text goes, which is obviously the copy, you can keep it very simple, have either ChatGPT do the talking for you. So for example, if I were to go in ChatGPT and kind of like do this, I would, probably paste something like this. Write me a Facebook ad copy for my roofing client that builds trust as well as communicates my client is not the most expensive, but also not the cheapest, but he provides a great service for the prices he's charging. Something like this, right? If I, enter this, let's see what it's going to say. Need a roofer you can actually rely on. Let's be real. These roofers who are undercharge and cut corners and others overcharge because they can. We're not the cheapest and we're proud of that, but cheap work usually leads to an expensive problem, and we're not the most expensive either because we believe honest pricing and solid work should exist. I mean, this looks pretty good from just looking at it. It's pretty short, which is also not a bad thing. I would probably get rid of the emojis. I don't personally like that, but this is a copy I would probably use. For example, I would just, take this and put it in here. Probably get rid of these emojis here. I'm just gonna leave it for now. Yeah, for example, here, Nita Roof, you can rely on. Let's say this guy's name is Miami Roofing, right? Miami Roofing has you covered. I would probably add this in here just to kind of add the personal touch to the client. There we go. And here as a headline, I would probably say get a new roof for, let's say, 7,500. There we go. In the description, I usually do the following. I just say stars, like I have just 5 stars here, and I just say, the client's name, Miami Roofing, right, whatever the name is. And call to action, usually leave it to learn more. That's the best one. Destination, you want to obviously add your funnel in, very simple to do. You can just use high level to build one. If you need help with that, just drop a comment and I can, make a tutorial on that too. Display link, leave it blank, select none here, right? And website events should have been turned on if you already added a pixel in the previous step here. So you remember here where it says create pixel, I obviously don't have one, but it should show up here at the bottom where it says website events. So, and then you just launch it. Now, the main thing is about ads. It's not about just getting it right the first time. It's about launching them, observing them, being able to read the metrics, and then, just changing the ads accordingly. So for example, let's say you look at the ads and it's spending money, right? It's spending the client's money, but for example, you're not getting any clicks. You just get no clicks for some reason, and you can adjust it by coming here, customize columns, and saying for example, unique link clicks. If you're not getting any clicks, for example, it means that the ads just don't resonate with the market. Same thing, for example, let's say your click-through rate is just pretty low. It would be here in this case unique CTR. If you're not getting any CTR, same thing, the ads are just not really resonating with the market. If you're getting clicks and you're getting a high unique CTR, and a unique CTR is anything about 1%, is pretty good. If you're getting those two things, but you're not getting any leads, it means that your actual landing page is bad, because the ads are good, it's getting attention, it's getting clicks, but they're just not converting, meaning your landing page in that case is pretty bad. I guess you have to just change that. So there's a few things like that you have to just learn, and how to just read metrics. Again, if you want to have me do a dedicated tutorial to that, just let me know and I'll make one. But this is really how I run my own clients' ads. It's not really too difficult, works pretty well, and this is how I'm able to just have my clients print cash. So if you need further help with this and want to really learn how to run ads for your clients well, there's a link in the description. Just opt in and I might be able to help you out with that. That being said, make sure to like and subscribe, because I will be posting more videos like this, and then I'll see you in the next one. Take care.